I will not share it with anyone. Okay, so here you are. I will not share it, so please don't ask for the recording. I will share this only towards the end of the entire training, maybe after a month or so. I will definitely give you access so you can, any point in time fall back on it. And also you may want to share it with the others. Also, this training is absolutely fine. Training is such a sacred thing. It's okay if you share this with those who are not working with us. It's absolutely fine. If they get benefited, what's wrong in that? Nothing bad. So coming back to the things here, this data structure. So it is extremely important. 25 साल पहले, 30 साल पहले जब काम होता था तो वो मैनुअल काम होता था. I am sure none of y'all is of the age who might have seen banks working completely manually. During my childhood, I used to see Indian Bank. Indian Bank was the bank in which my parents had an account. And when I used to go with my dad or mom, and we used to see, like, the bank, and everything was manual. Everything was manual. And it used to be huge. Why huge? Because they used to maintain books, transactional books, the books in which they used to maintain transactions. Those were typically red colored books. So one book in which they maintain the list of all the customers. In another book for the customer, they will maintain the list of all the accounts of the customer, because one customer may have multiple accounts at the bank. And then they used to have some kind of a book in which they used to maintain the transactions, for each and every customer. If in and each and every account of that customer, they used to maintain the list of debits and credit. So on this date, debit, money was deposited. Sorry, credit, the money was deposited. This day, debit, the money was withdrawn. And then they used to maintain the balance at any given point in time. If I wanted to know my current balance on hand, today you just go to your mobile app and you see the current balance on hand. Those were the days when we used to actually, travel down to the bank, and then in the bank we used to say, okay, this is the passbook, and they used to take the passbook and they used to handwrite the passbook. Yes, those were the days. Even, they were not even printed in printed with computer, but then on a printer. But then they used to actually, okay, open the ledger, see this is the account, and then they used to copy all of those transactions in my passbook and then give it to me so that I know this is the balance on hand. Those were the days, right? So what was maintained there in those books? What data? So the same data now is stored where? So they used to store. Now, see, understand this. There is some data that is transactional data which you need in order to do the calculation. But then finally, after doing the calculation, there is some amount of data that you will be storing permanently so that you can retrieve it later. Even when the bank is closed down in the evening, next day in the morning when they come, then they open the books, the data is there. So they are making the data persistent. I repeat, the data is made persistent. Once again, I will use this term persistent because this is exactly the term that is technically used here in our software development also. Persistent data, the data that is stored in the database. Today, that same data that they used to store in the books is now stored where? In the database, right? So the data is stored in the database, yes. And then during those days also, when things were done manually, if I go to the bank, if I say I want to withdraw 5,000 rupees, they used to first check. Now, when I say they, the clerk sitting over there or whoever that person is sitting over there, the bank person sitting over there will take out my ledger, take out my book, take out my ledger, see the ledger, and he will see the current balance on hand. And he will say, oh, okay, you want to withdraw 5,000, you already have 12,000 in your account. Okay, I'll give you 5,000 and the balance on hand will be 7,000. But if at all the balance on hand was less than 5,000, he will reject my check. He will say, sir, your balance is less than 5,000, you cannot withdraw 5,000. So this is the business logic. I repeat, this is the business logic. Once again, this is the business logic. It exists in business. So the person sitting over there is the one who is executing that business logic. I repeat, the person sitting over there in the bank is responsible for executing that business logic. When it comes to software, you write services, some kind of a class. In that class, some kind of a function in that class, which will implement the business logic, will retrieve the data from the database, apply the business logic, either throw an exception saying that, hey, you cannot withdraw, more than the balance available, or else, the amount that is being withdrawn will be deducted. from the current balance on hand. So now instead of a human being implementing the business logic, you have in your software service classes, business service classes. These are the classes that are specially created in order to implement the business logic. Now in the bank also, you see there are many people sitting. There is a teller. I'm talking about still manual, everything manual. There is a teller. Teller is the person who actually counts cash and he gives it. He's a teller, Then there are people who are, back office people. They do some kind of, daily jobs of collating data and preparing reports. How many accounts were open today, and how many, what was the total transactions done today? How much of, how many FDs were created today? All that stuff. There are some people doing that. There are some people who are customer support people. When the person steps into the bank and he wants to interact with the bank for some purpose, there are some people. Then there is a bank manager sitting there, in the cabin. So do you think there is one single person doing all the work, or there are different people sitting there and doing their respective and executing their respective responsibilities? What do you think? One person handling the whole bank?
No, sir. Many
No,
people.
sir.
Many people. So similarly here also, similarly, okay, now if at all there is some bank, hypothetically, if at all there is some bank wherein there is a super intelligent person sitting over there and he alone manages everything, do you think government will come chasing down and saying, hey, close down the bank? You cannot do this. No, government doesn't mind. So, as and so far the compliance is met with, they don't mind, they don't care you're keeping 5 people or you're keeping 50 people in your bank. It doesn't matter to them at all. They're not going to close down. They're not going to come and arrest you. Likewise, here also in one single class, I can end up writing the entire application. I can end up writing the whole software here. Function from a function, functions. One function makes a call to another function. That function makes a call to some other function, and then I can do a lot of things. But that's not what we do. Like in case of bank, there are many people who are supposed to execute the responsibilities based on the role they perform, based on the role that they are, assigned. Similarly, here also, a software is made up of many classes. A software is made up of many modules. In Python, you will call each and every .py file having maybe a class, maybe there can be classes created. So in Python also, you can very well create classes, and you can just simply have modules. In those modules, you can have n number of functions created. So will you have one single module? No, you will have several modules. Will you have one single class here in Java? No, you will have several classes in Java. Now, haphazardly there, if a teller person is supposed to do something else and that one person is supposed to do something else, no, that doesn't work. Everyone, whichever role you are performing at that point in time in the bank, you will be executing the responsibilities based on the role that is assigned to you. So here also, I will have some classes dedicated to manage data logic. I will have some classes here that will be dedicated to managing business logic. You remember just a few minutes back, I explained that there is a person who executes business logic. So instead of that human being, now you have a class called business service class, or just simply a service class. A service class is a class that implements business logic. Do you think the service class, the class that is supposed to implement business logic, it has got anything to do with the data logic? Do you think the business service class must get into the implementation of data logic? ये होना चाहिए कि नहीं?
No, sir.
No, नहीं होना चाहिए साहब. There will be classes dedicated to implement data logic. Usually we call them as DAO classes, data access object classes, or maybe we call them as DAL, data access layer modules. So those are the modules, those are the classes that are very specifically maintained, and the kind of code that you implement in them is very specific to data logic. So that tomorrow, if the database changes from MongoDB to Cassandra, if the database changes from NoSQL to MySQL, NoSQL, see MongoDB, Cassandra, Hadoop, all of these are NoSQL databases. Okay. Whereas MySQL, MS SQL Server, Oracle, Informix, Postgre, all of these are RDBMS, and they are known as, SQL databases, RDBMSs. So tomorrow, for some good reason, if you decided to switch over from MongoDB to some other database, what will change, my dear friends? Only and only the layer in the software only and only those modules that used to take care of the data logic, only that will change, isn't it? The business logic will not change, the controller logic will not change. Hope we are all on the same page.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Extremely important. So
Yes.
never ever write business logic in data logic classes. Never ever write data logic in the business logic classes. The classes that are specific to business services, and usually, there is a naming convention that we follow. The service classes, they have got a suffix as service. The data logic classes, they've got the suffix of DAO, data access object, or maybe DAL, or maybe we arrange it, we structure it in packages, in folders in such a way that it becomes easier for the programmers to understand, oh, okay, all of these are the classes that are DAL layer. See, the structure of the code is extremely important. It is so very important. It is extremely critical. We work in a team on the project. So it's one single project, when I and you are working on the same project, if you have written something, and if I want to see the functionality of it, or if I want to find where would be the functionality of so and so thing, should it take ages for me to find that, or it must be crystal clear? Okay, this is the structure of our application. And if I'm trying to search for the business logic of saving a customer, then in that case, this is exactly the structure, and this is the structure we follow. So I must look for such a functionality in so and so class, in so and so package. Don't you think this is how it must be?
Yes, sir.
Anna? Right. That's how it is supposed to. I would like to show you all something. Now, this, I keep on thinking, why do I do this? But thoda sa weird hai. But I would like to show you, the एक second. Let me press. Okay. I will show you all something. I'm working from home today. So मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, ये देखो, it's worth, कितना सीखने वाली चीज है. Can you see this wardrobe of mine? Can you see this wardrobe? दिख
Yes,
रहा है
sir.
आपको?
Yes, sir.
दिख रहा है? अच्छे से दिख रहा है wardrobe पूरा?
Yes, sir.
हम्म?
Yes, sir.
ये देखो, I'm not blowing trumpet
Yes,
of
sir.
but why am I showing you? मुझे अगर आधी रात को टॉवल चाहिए ना, मुझे लाइट चालू करने की जरूरत नहीं है. मुझे पता है टॉवल कहाँ रखा हुआ है, मैं हाथ जहां पे मैं डालूंगा, पता है मुझे टॉवल, यहाँ मुझे टॉवल मिल जाएगा. Can you see that? See?
Yes, sir.
कितना well arranged है. See? Any given point in time, this is how she maintains it. So, well, I'm sorry, I'm not blowing the trumpet of my but आप लोग बोलेंगे ये क्या बता रहे हो. But the thing is that, see how it helps. This is how structure होना चाहिए आपकी एप्लीकेशन का.
Yes,
किसी
sir.
टीम मेंबर को अगर ये पता करना है कि कहाँ पे फला लॉजिक कहाँ पर होगा, और वो बंदा अगर ढूंढता रहे, तो इट्स यूजलेस. उसको आंख बंद करके उसको समझना, अच्छा ये चीज चाहिए, मैं ये पैकेज में, ये स्ट्रक्चर में, ये पैकेज में जाऊंगा, ये पैकेज से ये पैकेज में जाऊंगा, आई मस्ट बी एबल टू. यहां तक के क्लास का नाम परफेक्ट होने चाहिए. अगर बिजनेस लॉजिक इज बीइंग इम्प्लीमेंटेड टू मैनेज कस्टमर, सो इट मस्ट बी कस्टमर सर्विस और वट एवर हैज बीन डिसाइडेड बाय योर टेक लीड. If he has decided that all the classes will end with business service, then customer business service, then in that case, customer business service, account business service, fixed deposit business service. So this is how the naming convention must be. In fact, it becomes so very easy for you to even search. So if I want to search for classes, this is how I'm going to search. So I'll just simply say business service, and all the classes that ends with business service, or all the classes that ends with service will show up over here. It becomes so easy. And then I say, oh, okay, this is a class that I want, perhaps. It becomes so easy. Not only that, within the class, especially in case of Next.js based applications, React.js. In React.js components, you write so much of, a lot of code. You write a code in, you write code in one single component. You write the logic, the UI logic. Then you write some code in, for HTML, CSS. And then that UI logic also, there is some logic that you need to write in order to invoke the APIs. So we create different functions. We create functions specifically in order to maintain, in order to implement fine-grained components. There are so many things that we write. That also we write, we make sure that it is written in the right order. अगर आपको लगे कि जो भी प्रिंसिपल्स है, जो भी डिजाइन प्रिंसिपल्स हैं, जो भी स्ट्रक्चरिंग के प्रिंसिपल्स हैं, if you see that we have violated it somewhere in some component, feel free to point it out. You can always talk to Oways and just send a message, or anyone. Hey, I believe this is not in line with the principles of writing code, and I think this we have missed this, or am I missing something? You've got to be polite. Always when you point out something, समथिंग, अगर कुछ आप बता रहे हो किसी को कि हे आपने ये गलत किया है, तो ऑलवेज अटैच अ स्ट्रिंग टुवर्ड्स द एंड ऑफ इट, सी हे मेरे ख्याल से ये आपने गलत किया है, और इज इट दैट आई एम मिसिंग समथिंग? दैट इज मोर पोलाइट वे ऑफ वर्किंग इन अ टीम। यू गेटिंग व्हाट आई एम सेइंग? राइट? तो अगर मैं पॉइंट आउट करूं, अगर सपोज मैं रेहान को बोलूं, रेहान ये आप गलत कर रहे हो, ये आपने गलत किया, व्हाट इज दिस, ये ऐसे आपको नहीं करना चाहिए, और एम आई मिसिंग समथिंग? कि हो सकता है आपने किसी वजह से खास ये कुछ किया होगा, and I'm missing a point. That's a better way of putting it across. So coming back over here, it's extremely important, the structure, the name of the classes and everything, and the art of designing code. Now listen to this very carefully. $1 million point. $1 million point. The art of writing code is all about identifying the right classes, right modules, and distributing the right responsibilities to those classes and modules. Why? So that your application is maintainable, so that your application is resilient to changes, so that your application is adaptive and flexible to changes. It is impossible that you build a software and there is no change. Change आएगा ही आएगा, 100% आएगा, और एनहांस होगा. इट इज इम्पॉसिबल कि आप दुनिया का फेसबुक, इंस्टाग्राम, लिंक्डइन, all that you use today, आप कहीं maybe you are using it since quite a few years. Was it the same 2 years back? No, it's different today. There are so many new features there. So is that they have built a platform called Facebook, and then they have shut down the company and they just mint money? No, that's not how it is. They keep on enhancing. You have to. The business competition changes, the business environment changes, the dynamics of the of social setup and the business changes, the dynamics of economy is so dynamic. Things change and you have to adapt your software to those changes. So there will be changes in the software. If your software is not maintainable, it is piece of it's toilet paper. It's of no use. कोई फायदा नहीं. So make sure that the quality is in the right on the top of your mind. Well, so the point that we wanted to discuss was the data structures. We started with the concept of data, and we have some classes very specific to managing the data structure, the database and stuff and all. And there are some classes, business logic classes, and so on. And then there are some classes which are specifically, meant to implement UI logic or the control logic. We will talk about that later. But coming back to the data structures here, data. Either you store it permanently in the database, or you have some variables created in order to hold the data temporarily. I repeat, either you create data structures in order to store it in the database, or you create data structures in order to hold the data temporarily so that you can work with that data, process it, whatever the final results are, you put it into the database. That's what the entire game is all about. Okay. And then वो पुराने जमाने में जो डेटा होता था, वो कैसे मेंटेन होता था, मैंने बताया ना, बुक्स में मेंटेन होता था. ओके, आई विल शो यू वन मूवी. जस्ट अ मिनट. लेट मी ब्रिंग दैट अप. मैं आपको डेटा बताता हूँ. देखो वो जमाने में डेटा कैसे मेंटेन होता था. I'm not getting it now somehow. Ah, I think I got it. मुझे सब याद है, सबके मुझे सब याद है. Now see this. Just a minute. I'll resume. Can you all see my screen? चीज का बदला लूंगा. Okay. वीरा को मैं वीरा
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Just a minute. ये देखो, ये आप देख रहे हो नीचे, ये देखो, see. Wait. See this. What is he burning? ये आप देखिए नीचे, नीचे सब उसकी बुक्स है. नीचे सब उसकी बुक्स है. So he's bringing all the books out here, and he is पीछे पीछे दे बिरजू मगर हो जाएगा. जो भैया सब हिसाब गड़बड़ हो जाएगा. हाँ, सब हिसाब गड़बड़ हो जाएगा. See this. So this is Lalaji, and he's a cruel man, and he gives loan to poor farmers, and whatever loan the farmers have taken, he maintains all the transactional data in his books. Can you see the books there? Books दिख रही है आपको सब उसके? ये देखो, these are all the books lying around here. And
Yes,
when
sir.
this Sunil Dutt comes, he's the hero, a hero or whatever. This guy, he comes and he says that I'm going to burn all your hisab kitab, all your books. So this is his database. What is he doing? He is crashing his database. Yes. So once he loses his database, he is gone, right? He has got no proof, nothing at all. So this is how the data was maintained. Data is very crucial. That's how the data was maintained earlier in books. Now today we are maintaining the same data in what? In database, isn't it? So your software is all about manipulating data, storing the data, processing the data, and so on. Hence, data structure is extremely important. Now the data structures, now see this. I'll start with Java, as I said. These are the primitive type data structures. I'll say int I is equal to 5. This is primitive type. Primitive means inherently available in Java. And this is native to the operating system. It is natively managed by Java based on whatever the operating system is. The int I is equal to 5. And then I say, long, I'll say L is equal to, I'll say 10. This is long type of a variable. A long variable will store more data, a higher value as compared to int. In fact, let me start right from the, scratch. It is even int ke pehle hai short, s is equal to whatever, say 4. The max value that I can store in short, I can obtain it with short dot max and the min value. Then there is, even before that, there is something called a byte. B is equal to, but then I'll have to maintain that in a byte format, but that's okay, byte. Okay, so minus 127 to 127. If I want to get, I hope I'm not wrong on that. So suppose this is my main function, right? System.out.println. I'll say byte dot min value, and I'll say whatever the byte dot max value is. See, max value here. Let me run this code and show you. So you see minus 127 to 127. You can see this minus 128 to plus 127. This is the value that you can maintain in bytes. That's how it is. So you have a byte, and then bigger than byte is a short, bigger than short is an int, bigger than int is a long, but all of these are the data structures in which you cannot maintain the decimal value. So here you do have something like float. F is equal to 3.14F. This is the float. And then I'll say double. This is the double value. Float, you can maintain decimal value. Double, you can maintain decimal value. But double can maintain a very large value as compared to float. At any given point in time, if you want to see what is the max value that it can store, you will say double dot max value. So these are the primitive data types. Note this very carefully. Here, all the data types, the name of the data type, it all starts in lowercase. Can you see this? So all starts in lowercase. What does this mean? These are primitive data types. If it starts with an uppercase, it's a class. I repeat, it's a class. So here, I don't want to get very specific to Java. So here I can say byte, and I'll say, CB is equal to byte dot value of, or I'll just simply say, 25, something like this. So here you are this byte and this byte. This is primitive type. This is a class. In Java, anything that starts with an uppercase is definitely a class. I repeat, it is either a class or an interface or some of the other type, right? Which is not a primitive type. So these are all lower cases. You see this, but this starts with an uppercase. So what is the difference between these two? This is a class. So I have an object of class byte. Here I will just simply say I have a variable of type byte. Here also I can say CB is a variable of type byte. But to be very specific, to be, if I want to be very particular about what I'm saying, then I'll say this is CB is a variable which happens to be an object of class byte. Then you also have something like char, in which you can store something like a character. I mean, just one single character. But then if I want to maintain the sequence of characters, then in that case, and suppose something like Shakir, then in that case, I'd say string name is equal to, and I say Shakir, or maybe whatever the name is. String. Now this S stands with an uppercase. So tell me one thing, this char is a primitive type or a class?
Primitive
Sir,
type.
primitive type.
Excellent. And string is a?
Class.
It's a class.
Class.
Superb. And name is an object of that class. Name is an object of that class. So these are the data types that you have got, and there are many, many other data types as well. Data types, I'm saying. So these are the data types. So I do have something like long as well. And I'll say long, LL is equal to long dot max value or whatever. And then if I say, short, and then I'll say integer. There's nothing like int with an uppercase I, it's integer, right? Rest all are like, so I'll say float, and yet you can see this, and I say double, and you can see this here. All of these are what? Classes. Now one would say, why on earth? Okay, so when things can be maintained in primitive type, why would I need classes? Why will I have to create an object of a class byte, or an object of a class long, or an object of a type of short? Why would I want to create something like this? There is a reason. Okay, before we proceed further, this byte is a class. CB is an object of that class. This byte object is nothing but a wrapper over byte primitive. This string is a wrapper over an array of, actually it's not char, it's a byte array these days. Anyway, long. This is a wrapper over long. Short. This is a wrapper over this primitive type short. Integer. It is a wrapper over int. Float. It is a wrapper over primitive type float. Double is a wrapper over this double. I will show it to you. Never ever get scared or shy away from getting into the source code of whatever programming platform or programming language or the library that you are working with. Whatever you are working with, feel free to get into the source code of it. And in Java, see, I can get into the source code by just simply control and click on it. I will be in the source code of double class. Here you are. I'm in the source code of double class. So if I pick up any one of these, for example, let's take integer. Integer is a class. Here you are. You will find there is something called value out here. Can you see this? Value. See, what is the data type of this value? Int. And what is the documentation here? The value of the integer. So the value of the integer object is actually stored in the int only. So can I make a statement that integer is a wrapper over int? Can I say that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. Likewise, I'll say long, and here you are again value. Can you see this value out here? See, this is the long value, the value of the long. So long as a class, and when I create an object of that class, it is actually a wrapper over primitive type long. And so is the case with all the other types also. All of these types, these are all wrappers. Except for string. String is a wrapper over, so that it can maintain all the char sets. It's a wrapper over byte array. It's a wrapper over byte array. We will discuss that later if time permits. क्यों byte array? पहले के versions में char array था, because S is a char, H is a char, A is a char, KIR, all of these are char. So a char array was okay. And in previous versions, in the earlier versions, it was actually a char array. But then they provided more features in Java. They enhanced Java to accommodate Chinese language, Hebrew language, Sanskrit language, Devanagari language, and then Arabic language. So char, the way we see it in English, S, you know, it can be accommodated in a char. S can be accommodated in a char, but the word b cannot be accommodated in one char. So in that case, they then introduced a byte array. So they created a byte array. I mean, string is backed by a byte array. Note my words, as I had told you right on day one, I am very particular about making statements. And that brings sophistication in your communication. It brings using the right terms brings a sophistication in your communication and your interaction as well. So I am saying that string is a class that is backed by a byte array. Okay, well, all the other things. But then why? Why is there a need for something like a byte class and a long class and a short class when all of these are eventually wrappers over the primitive types only? To Q. Why? The reason being you do have data structures. देखो ये structure, खैर, okay, one may argue, one may debate that these are also data structures. Okay, I'll agree, but these are simple data structures, and they are definitely data structures. These, I would say, these are primitive data types. Rather, better statement would be these are data types. Not that these are not data types, but the statement that these are data structures would be, more appropriate, right? Okay, and there are operations that you can perform on it. For example, if I have something like an int I dot, you see, I can compare it with some other integer. I can describe, I don't know what this is. Constable, new thing that they have added. I can get the byte value of it. I can get the double value of it. I can convert it to float value. I can convert it to int value, long value, short value, and so on. So all of these are the functions that are there. So these are the functions that are available on the integer. So that's one thing. But then otherwise, these are simple plain data structures which are wrapper over primitive type. But there are some more interesting data structures. For example, a vector. For example, an array list. For example, a linked list. These are all data structures. Very simple cakewalk to understand. Cakewalk to understand. Very simple. See, how many values can you store here in a byte? One value, one byte. How many values can you store here in this variable? One short value. So is the case with each one of these. What if I want to maintain? So suppose this is like, I have an int variable. Okay, let's take this. I'll say int age is equal to, I'll say 25. This is a normal primitive type variable, or I might have given it teacher, whatever. Okay, whatever the case is. So this is so far so good. But then what if I want to maintain the age of all our team members? Can it be accommodated in one single age variable here? No. So will I create age Rehan, age Shilpa, age Nusrat, age Umar, age this, age that? Can I maintain hundreds of variables? No, it doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. I will have to keep on writing if else on each one of those variables. I mean, it doesn't really make sense at all. Instead, what will I do is I will maintain array of, in order to maintain multiple
integers.
Yes, exactly. And amazing. I'll say age, integer. It's an array of integer, age, array, and then I'll say employee, or I'll say member, age of members. This is how. Always give meaningful names to your data structures, your data types, your variables. And here I will just simply say, okay, here I'll say 25, 26, 21, 20, and so on. Here you are. Now I can maintain multiple values in an array. So I could have also created an array of int, no problem. I could have created an array of int, chalega. But problem kya hai? Problem ye hai. I can, in Java is a strongly typed language. Java ke andar I cannot extend the size of an array once created. And the size of an array is determined at the time of initialization. Either I create a fixed length array, note my words, either I create a fixed length array, or else I initialize it with some default values that will determine the length of it. So what will be the length of this array? Tell me, age of members. 1, 2, 3, 4. What is the size of it? Length of an array?
4.
4. Or else I could have created something like this. I'll just comment this, and I could have created something like this. I'll say new int, and I'll say 4. Then also it's created. It is just that each and every element, 4 elements, each and every element will have the default value of 0. Each and every element, 0th element, the first, second, and third, it starts from 0. Numbering starts from 0. 0, 1, 2, 3. 4 elements, not initialized. But I cannot do this. I say int, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 elements. Now I'll say 0, 1, 2, 3, and I'll say fourth. That means fifth element. The subscript is, the position is fourth. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? I is equal to say 45, something like this. Okay, it will not allow me. It will not allow. अच्छा ये अभी error दे. Why it is not a statement? Sorry, my bad. Age of members, and I'll say fourth is equal to, and I'll say 45, something like this. Okay, here you are. Now, अभी ये तो बहुत अच्छा आईडी है, फंटास्टिक आईडी, ये देख रहा है कि मैं क्या कोड लिख रहा हूँ और मैं गलती कर रहा हूँ, तो ये मुझे यहीं पर ही बता रहा है. बट अदरवाइज forget about that. When I run this, it will give me a runtime exception. It will tell me index. You can see this array index out of bounds exception. Exactly वो लाइन नंबर पे उसने मुझे एरर दे दिया. क्यों? It says, Bhaiya, you have got the length of your array is 4. How can you put the fourth element, the fifth element into it in the fourth position? It will not allow. There is an exception. So I cannot extend the size of an array here in Java. Dynamically, I cannot do that. I cannot do that. What if but still, I don't know how many customers would be there in the database. I don't know how many team members will be there in the database. I cannot fix the length. If I fix the length as 1,000, it will unnecessarily waste the memory. And if I say some 20, the moment I add a new team member, I cannot go back to the software and make changes and deploy it again. Doesn't make sense. So what do I do? How do I manage this? So what will you say is that, okay, Shakir, why don't you do one thing? You start with some specific length of an array, say 10. You start putting values. And then you create some kind of a class which will be backed by an array. Note my words. Some kind of a class which will be backed by an array. You give a function in that class called add. You pass a value to be added to that array. The moment you see that the size of the array is full, you create a new array. Copy the existing 10 element. You create a new array with double the length. So you create a new array of 20. Copy all the 10 elements from that previous array into the new one. And then start taking the 11th and the 12th and the 13th and the 14th values up till 20. The moment again when the size is full, if through the program you're adding 21st element, again, double the size, make it 40, copy 20 elements from the previous, add more, and then keep on doing this. Makes sense? This is the kind of algorithm that I will write. I will have to write if I still want to support, accommodating multiple elements in an array. यही करना पड़ेगा ना? Come on. Simple algorithm, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But हमें करने की जरूरत नहीं है. We already have something like vector. I already have something like vector is equal to new vector. Okay. And then I can say v dot add. Okay. And I say 25. And then I just go on adding whatever. Did I give the length over here? I did not give a length here. I said 10 and I say whatever. I say 600 and I say whatever. 12. What I can just simply keep on adding and adding. So there is no limit here. I can keep on adding. So this vector, where do you think, is it doing some kind of a magic? See friends, I'll tell you, डेटा तो फाइनली इसी में स्टोर होगा, या तो किसी एरे में ही स्टोर होगा, और तो कहीं डेटा स्टोर हो नहीं सकता है. तो वेयर डू यू थिंक इट इज स्टोरिंग द डेटा behind the scenes? I did mention that it is going to be backed by, come on, backed by an array.
Array.
So yeah, so when I go to vector, please see this. You have something called this element data. This is the data structure in which when you say add, it goes into this. इसके अंदर जाता है value. And what it is an array of what? Come on.
Integers.
Object.
ना object. ये देखो array of good. जिसने integer बोला है वो भी very good. I appreciate your answers. I appreciate. But ये क्या है? Object है. Array of object. Object is the supermost class in Java. The supermost class in Java is what? Object. मतलब आपने अगर किसी क्लास को किसी दूसरे क्लास से इनहेरिट नहीं भी किया है, even if you have not inherited a class from some other class, it is implicitly inherited from object class. So it's an array of object. Since it's an array of object, it will always take an object as an element. So 25 over here is actually an object of which type that it is taking as a parameter? Object of integer. So you are right, not wrong. Now when I, why is this giving me a warning? Because I did not use the generic type integer. Now the moment I say generic type integer, like this, see all the warnings are gone now. Okay. Why is this giving me warning? Spelling is wrong. We is updated, but never. I have never used it. So that is the reason. But otherwise, now when I say integer here in the brackets like this is the generic type. What does this mean? Vector is a templated class. What class? What class?
Templated.
Templated.
Class.
In C++, this is known as template, but in case of Java, it is known as generic type. Repeat, what it is known as? Generic type. So
Generic type.
correct. Exactly. This E is the generic. General. So the vector has been implemented by Java. This is a Java class. It is available since 1.0 of Java, since its inception of Java. So vector is what? It's a generic type. That means I can create a vector for integer. I can create a vector for string. I can create a vector for float. I can create a vector for double. If I say that I'm creating a vector for integer, that means that particular instance of a vector, note my words, that particular instance of the vector, in other words, that particular object of the vector will always hold the integer values. अगर मैंने इसको यहाँ पे ये 25 डबल कोट्स में दे दिया है, कंपाइलेशन ही एरर दे देगा. सी is saying I'm expecting an integer, but you are providing string. This is wrong. Getting it? Right? So these templates will help you. These generic type will help you from programming errors. These generics were introduced in Java 1.5. 1.5 के पहले generics जैसा कुछ नहीं था. Now coming back to the point, why do you really need all of these data structures like short, integer, and so on? Why? Because these are the kind of data structures which takes objects, not the primitive types as a parameter. ये 25 जो है ना, auto boxing होके वो integer ही हो गया है. So finally, what is getting added to the vector is not primitive type. It is the integer object that is being added to the vector, that is getting added to the vector. That integer object in turn will have the int value. Are we all on the same page?
Yes, sir.
और ये कुछ एडवांस वगैरह लग रहा है क्या? कुछ एडवांस बेसिक है ये सब. Come on. Yes. I hope my language and the speed and the way I'm going is all like, it's okay. You want me to go faster? You want me to go slower? You want me to, or this is just okay?
Just okay, sir.
No, sir, it's okay.
Fine.
Okay, sir.
ये सब अच्छे से समझना है अभी. So these are the data. So vector is a data structure. Array list is a data structure. Array list, I can create an array list of integer, and I can do exactly the same thing. I can do exactly the same thing that I can do with a vector. Then one would say, why do you need an array list when you already have a vector? The reason being, vector is synchronized, array list is not. Yeah, I don't want to get into that. The topic is data structure, so I will just make a mention of it and move ahead. Synchronization means I can use vector in a multi-threaded application, and still the data will be safe from corruption. Here, in case of array list, it's, the data that is getting added, or this data structure is not thread safe. This data structure is not thread safe. आप लोगों को मल्टी थ्रेडिंग सीखना है, अच्छा मल्टी थ्रेडिंग सीखना है.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
हाँ, तो अब नेक्स्ट
Yes,
टाइम
sir.
भोपाल
Yes, sir.
ठीक है, तो नेक्स्ट टाइम भोपाल आऊंगा तो मुझे एक मस्त वाला आप लोग एक लंच की दावत दोगे तो मैं सिखाऊंगा.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
जी
sir.
जरूर
Yes,
सर.
sir. प्लस
Yes, sir.
Allah.
Sure, sir.
ओके ओके, श्योर श्योर, ठीक है. तो हम लोग एक काम करेंगे, वन फुल डे वी विल टॉक अबाउट threads. We will do that out of those 5 days, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, I'll be there. One full day we will talk about threads, inshallah. So this is how it is, like, vector, array list and stuff and all. Okay, so this was the kind of overview. But now see this. It's not only about this. So these are, did I create this data structure, or it is inherently available in Java? Byte, string, long, short. Inherently available in Java. These are all Java data structures, right? If you go ARC, go to byte, see the package. इसका package देखो, java.lang. All of these also here, when I go to vector, it's not java.lang, but then yeah, it's that's also Java. Sorry, this is in java.util. My bad. Java.util. Again, array list, java.util. Java.util. अब ये देखो, this is what I was talking about. Like, see who's the author of this array list class? It's Joshua Bloch and Neil Gaffer, whatever. He's the guy. See. So we use the libraries that they build in order to write our applications. Think at least one of you rise up, or some of you, or why not all of you? Rise up to a level wherein, we build libraries, we build products and libraries that the world will use. है ना. अब जावा तो नहीं लिखेंगे हम लोग, जावा की लाइब्रेरीज नहीं लिखेंगे, बट जावा के ऊपर कुछ ऐसी लाइब्रेरीज लिखेंगे जो एक स्पेसिफिक काम करता हो और वो दुनिया यूज करे. एंड यू विल फाइंड such thousands of libraries already created. And that's not the end of the story. People are still building many other libraries, but you will see jcp.org. I'm talking about only Java libraries as of now. jcp.org. Those thousands of Java libraries are here. Thousands of Java libraries are here. They're all here. You need to just simply search for whichever library that you want. And say for example, I'm going to search for JDBC. You will find Java database connectivity related libraries here. These are all libraries. The APIs are here, and then the implementation library will come from some other source. And then for Python, it's, मैंने बताया था ना क्या था वो? Bye. All those thousands of Python libraries are here. So think of, like, put yourself in the shoes of these kind of developers who build their own libraries. Well, coming back over here, so these are the data structures which are out of the box provided by Java. Right? Provided by Java. Now, in order to write your own business application, when it comes to writing your own business application, when it comes to writing your own software solution, you will you will come across need hundreds of times to create hundreds of your own data structures. What are your own data structures? Pretty simple. Suppose if it was a banking application, so I just create a package. I'll give the name of the package as model, and then within the model, अच्छा ये देखो ये इस तरह से ये बताता है, right? Package within a package and stuff. Now within the model class, I'll create a new package, and with new class, I'll give the name of the class as customer. So see, this is how it shows. So this is one way. If you are good with this style of this particular view, it's fine. Somehow I am not comfortable with this, So what I do is that I go to appearance and I say flatten packages. This is what I do, flatten packages. Now when I do that, this is how it shows. You see this? जितने भी packages है ना, package within a package also वो एक flatten कर देता है वो उसको, so it becomes easier for me to view the classes and view all the packages. Well, it's your choice. See, it changes between. अगर आप flatten off कर दोगे, flatten packages off कर दोगे, तो वो ऐसे बताएगा tree view में. अभी भी tree view में बताएगा, but then otherwise, sorry, I click here, appearance, and I say flatten packages. Here you are. It shows in this way. And now I'll get the list of all the classes within this package. So coming back to your customer. So suppose I need to maintain the customers in my application. So I will have private int ID. I will have private string, first name, and then I say private string, last name, and so on. This is my data structure. What is the name of this data structure? Customer. What it is made up of? ID, first name and last name. What is the data type of ID? Int. What is the data type of first name and last name? String. So this is my type, my data structure, my custom type. And I can very well create an object of this class. I can just simply say customer is equal to new customer. This is what I do. Of course, see, this is the ID that I'm using and it automatically does the import. Can you see that it has imported automatically? Because it is in a different package, you have to import it. So this is what it is. See, customer is equal to new customer. Now I can say customer dot. I will not be able to say set because I have not created a setter method. I will not be able to use ID here. Why? Because ID has been defined as private. It has been defined as private. So what I'll do is that I will generate the setter getter methods. I'll click here and I say, generate here, and I'll say getter setter. I'll select all the three. I'll click on OK. Now there are getter setter methods. This method will return the value of ID and this method will set the value of ID. So here now I will be able to say set ID and in brackets I'll say 10. And what happens in that? Nothing. It just simply set ID initializes the value of ID. Simple. बहुत simple. इसको तो क्या ही explain करूं मैं. Simple चीज है. I'm sure you'll all understand this. So this is my own data structure. Now this data structure may become complex. Rather, I don't really like that word complex so much. I like to say interesting. This data structure can become all the more interesting. For example, I have another data structure here, for example, Java class, and I say customer address. And I'll say public, or I'll say rather private, string, street, all right, and then private, I'll say string city, private state, private, pin code, okay, private country, and so on. This is my data structure, customer address, but I go to customer and I say, hey, I have a customer. I have customers in my application, many customers in my application. Each customer may have multiple addresses. I repeat, each customer may have multiple addresses. So what will I do? I'll say private and I'll say list of customer addresses, plural. This list is an interface. We will talk about interfaces later. What is the difference between an interface and a class? We will talk about later. We will talk about it tomorrow, inshallah. So private list customer address. Now see this data structure. So what does this mean now? And here I do not have the customer address ka setter getter method. So I'll do what? I'll click right. Okay, it has. See, auto completion. And you get this in community edition also. You will get this in community edition also. So now I do have get customer addresses and set customer addresses. See, there is a particular convention, a naming convention of the setter getter methods. These methods को क्या बोलते हैं? Setter getter method. And see the naming convention. Always start get and set will be lowercase, whereas the first character of the variable that you are trying to get or set will be in uppercase. So get ID ka I is in lowercase. So this will be get ID with I capital. Followed by whatever is the name of the variable. Ab ye first name dekho, ye hai first name. So you see this get first name, F is capital out here. And F is capital out here. Get and set are lowercase. You must follow this naming convention. Otherwise, it will not work as per expectations, especially in some libraries and some frameworks. Java complain nahi karega. Java has no problem, whatever name you give to the functions and variables, but you have to follow the convention for quite a few reasons. So I'll go here to my main, and then you remember here, sorry, I was here. So I was here. Okay, so sorry, I was here. Yeah, customer address, customer. So now I have customer one. This is first customer one, and then I say set ID. I'll say set name and blah blah blah. And then I say customer two is equal to new customer. I have two customers, and I say customer two dot set ID. I'll say 20. दो customer objects मैंने बनाया. And then for this customer address, object, I'll say customer address is one is equal to new customer address. Customer address one dot set, and I'll say वहां पे setter getter नहीं बनाया अभी तक हम लोगों ने. Let's create setter getter here also. Here you are. Okay. And I'll say set what? I'll say set state, for example, and I'll say Maharashtra. Okay. And then I will create two addresses, two customer addresses object. And then here I'll say customer address two as say MP. Here you are. And then can I do this, my dear friends? Tell me, can I say list of customer addresses in URL list? I'll say customer address list dot add one, customer address list dot customer add two, and then I'll say customer one dot set customer addresses as customer address list, or I'll say customer addresses. I'll just change the, sorry. I'll say customer addresses. ये देखो, अब ये देखो पूरा data structure देखो, how I have set the value. I have created a new customer object, see here, and I've set the ID. I could have set definitely the other variable, the value of the other properties also. I created two customer addresses. One customer can have multiple addresses. I have put those customer addresses into a see this two customer addresses object, and then I have set the state. I could have set the value of other properties also. And then I created an array list, and I have put both the customer addresses into that one array list, and that array list is set as customer addresses in this customer one. Make sense? Yes.
Maharashtra.
Yes, sir.
Very simple. It's just that it is quite verbose. It's quite verbose. Verbosity means what? बहुत chatty है ये, मतलब बहुत सारा कोड है, ये set, ये get, ये set. ठीक है, but then otherwise I'm working with the data structure. So this customer address is my data structure. Customer is my data structure. Customer के अंदर customer addresses होगा. This is all about data structures. No. This is not all about data. There are many things. There are many data structures that are, so knowing data structures in Java is knowing all the data structures that are available in Java and having the ability to design your own data structures based on the requirement of your project. I will repeat once again. What is knowing data structures in Java? For that matter, any other programming language also. So knowing the data structures is knowing what all data structures is available in whatever programming language you're working with. What are the data structures inherently available that you can use? For example, see, I have used a list here. List is an interface, but you see this, I have used an array list, which is a data structure. You can see this array list. This is out of the box. So data structures, knowledge of data structure means knowing what all data structures are available, inherently available in the programming language, and the ability to design your own data structures like we have done customer and customer address based on the requirement of your project. अब आप इमेजिन करो, इफ आपने आपका डेटा स्ट्रक्चर जो आप यूज कर रहे हो वो भी अगर गलत यूज किया है आपने, if you have used the wrong data structure, or if you have designed your data structure but not properly designed the data structures, it will be very difficult for you to implement the business logic on these data structures. It will be very difficult for you to implement all the code and stuff and all and take it ahead. It will become a nightmare for you to maintain the application if the data structures are not perfect. In fact, in many places, many times, if the data structures that are used are not the right data structures, if they are not used judiciously, it results into bad performance. It will result into bad performance. सीखते जाओगे आप लोग जैसे जैसे आगे बढ़ोगे. So it's very important that you become meticulous in designing your data structures and understanding and knowing the data structures that are out of the box provided. Okay, that's how it is. Now, these are the data structures, and this is how I create. You know very well how things work in Python. So I'll just go back to my Python kneecaps Python. Here it is. You remember? We had written this hello.py and threads learning.py and stuff and all. Yahan pe it's all the more simple over here in order to work with what? So hello is here, hello.py. It's all the more simple. Why? Because here it's not restricted to the data types. It's weakly typed. I mean, you don't have to explicitly maintain the data types, though you can. Okay. Okay. Right. This is how you specify the data type here in Python. You say I is of type int. You are explicitly defining, which is a good way of doing it. It's a good habit. It's a good practice to always define the data structures so that it becomes very clear and you also do not unexpectedly or unintentionally you use it in a wrong way in your program. I can very well say, name colon string. अभी आप मुझे बताते जाओ, right? See, hello world, for example. So string, this here it is not string. So it's not a string. It's giving an error. There is no such data structure. str. Yes.
STR.
Yeah. Right. Name colon str. And then I don't know. Age colon double है यहाँ पे? नहीं है. नहीं है. Float है? Yes, float है. So I think float itself is sufficient. यहाँ पे double नहीं होगा. I don't know. Right. Age colon float. Now you must know. The one who's working day and night should know. Isn't it? Yes. So
Yes, sir.
this is how it is. And then you also have abhi, can I create my own classes here in Python? Yes, I can create a class in Python. I can very well create a class in Python. Okay, I will try, but I will not waste your time by, trial and error. I'll just go to this, and I want you all also to use Claude.ai extensively, my dear friends. और उसी से सीखते जाओ. क्यों जिद करनी है कि नहीं मैं तो कुछ अपने ही हिसाब से कुछ फिगर आउट करूंगा? नहीं. आफ्टर ऑल द गोल इज दैट टू गेन नॉलेज एंड टू बिल्ड सिस्टम्स एंड टू मेक मनी. Whichever is the fastest path to achieve this, you must take that path. Make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Gain knowledge, right project, make money. Whichever is the fastest path, you must take it. So here I'll say, give me an example of a simple custom class called customer in Python. Okay. Show how we work with getters and setters. Okay. Getters and setters in Python. And also show the constructors. एक काम करेंगे, constructors वगैरह सब के बारे में हम लोग कल बात करेंगे, right? We will talk about that more in more detail. अभी बस इतना ही sufficient है. ये अभी मुझे कोड दे देगा. ये देखो. So this is how you create a class. A class customer. Right? This init is the constructor using which you can initialize the value. See this. I have a customer class here. ये देखो. I have a customer class here. This is the customer class. Now, what if I want to initialize the value of the customer class here? देखो इतना इंटरेस्टिंग है ना. अभी भी अपने पास 20 मिनट है. Yes, we have 20 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
See, there is a concept of overloading which I don't know whether I will be able to complete today. If not, then we will continue tomorrow. But otherwise, see this. I will create a constructor. So till the time you do not create any constructor in Java for a given class, there is automatically a default constructor. I repeat, there is automatically a default constructor. For sure, it is there. But the moment you create a constructor, then the ones that you create are the only ones that will be there in that class. So I am creating. So see this now. I go to my terminal. मैं आपको बता देता हूँ. Okay, I'm creating a simple class vi and I say customer.java from my command prompt. Okay, and I say public class customer. vi सिर्फ यूनिक्स बेस्ड मशीन्स पे होगा, अदरवाइज नहीं होगा. ठीक है, सिंपल क्लास, कुछ नहीं लिखा है उसके अंदर मैंने, और कुछ नहीं है. I'll just close this and I'll say java c customer.java. So अभी मेरे पास डॉट क्लास फाइल आ गया, देखो डॉट क्लास फाइल बन गया, जनरेट हो गया. अब ये देखो I'll say java p -c. अब सॉरी कस्टमर, आप देखो यहाँ पे एक डिफॉल्ट कंस्ट्रक्टर दिख रहा है आपको, पब्लिक कस्टमर. ये तो कस्टमर क्लास है, देख रहे हो, देखो. और ये क्या है, पब्लिक क्लास. ये सॉरी पब्लिक कस्टमर, ये क्या है, कम ऑन, व्हाट इज दिस?
Construct.
एक्सीलेंट, एक्सीलेंट, दैट इज अ कंस्ट्रक्टर. ये इन्वोक स्पेशल है INIT ब्रैकेट में, मतलब नया ऑब्जेक्ट बन जाएगा, मेमोरी ग्रैब हो जाएगा रैंडम एक्सेस मेमोरी में. And v means it returns a void. Constructor never returns any value as such, it returns a void. Right, this is how it is. But now when I say vi customer.java, okay, and I say insert and I say public, I'll say customer, which takes one parameter. I'll say int id. Int id. Okay, and here I just leave it as it is. Okay, public customer int id. This is the constructor that I have. What is the constructor? The function and the name of the class. If it is exactly the same, it is a constructor in Java. So a constructor is nothing but a function, the name of which is as same as the name of the class. एक और बार. A constructor in Java is nothing but the name, but a function, the name of which is as same as the name of the class. So this is a constructor, but it takes one parameter. Okay, now I'll say WQ, I'll say Java C, I'll say customer.java, and here you are. Now when I say Java P-C and I say customer, you see this, there is no default constructor now. There is only, the only constructor that you have is the one which takes which parameter? Int type of one.
int type.
वो डिफॉल्ट वाला, डिफॉल्ट मतलब क्या, जिसका कोई पैरामीटर नहीं था, वो डिफॉल्ट वाला चला गया. लेकिन if you do not define any constructor, then by default there is a default constructor. देखा था ना आपने? When I did not explicitly define any constructor, the default constructor was there. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
If it wasn't there, then how on earth will the object be created? Because it's constructor is the only way to create an object of a class. It's through the constructor that you create an object of a class. ऐसे ही बनाते हो ना आप object. This is how you create, right? What are you doing here, my dear friends? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
What are you doing here? What are you doing here? New customer. What is this? This is the constructor. Isn't it? This is the constructor. So I go back over here and the default constructor is there. So I say public and I say customer, and here I'll say ID. Okay, this is the, suppose say this is the one. Okay, now when I go back over here, it will give me an error. Why? Because it says, hey, you have defined your own constructor which takes 3 parameters. You better pass that, because now we do not have a default constructor over there. So what I'll do is that I'll just go here and I will define a default constructor also. So I have how many constructors now?
2.
2 constructors. This customer constructor, this constructor is overloading this constructor. I will repeat. This constructor is overloading this constructor. मतलब ये वाला, the one that takes more parameters, is overloading the one that is taking less parameters. Overloading पे और बाद में बहुत बात करेंगे इंशाल्लाह. These are not trivial topics. These are very important topics. These are the topics that makes you a tiger in any programming language. And एक में अच्छे से समझ गया, दूसरे में देखा क्या difference and how it works. So now you see this, what I'll do is I will, for the sake of, what I want to explain, I have 2 constructors, the one which takes 0 parameters and the one that takes
1
1
parameter.
3 parameters.
Okay, I have changed it to 1. I have removed those 2 parameters, so I have it 1. I have 1. Now I can instantiate the class. Note my words. आई कैन इंस्टेंशिएट, अभी आप लोग भी आपस में बात करोगे तो ऐसा सोफिस्टिकेशन में बात करने का एकदम हाई फाई. So you say, either you say I have instantiated a class, that means you have created an object of a class, or else you simply say that I am creating an object of some class. So I am creating an object of customer using default constructor. Here I'll show you, I'll say, say 3. And here I'll say I am creating an object of class customer. The name of that customer object is customer 3. I mean, sorry, the reference variable, the variable name is customer 3, and I'm initializing it 101. See the way I am instantiating this object, and see the way I am instantiating this object. Here I'm using the default constructor, and here I'm using the constructor.
Parameterize.
One parameter. Excellent. I'm taking. अच्छा, सबके समझ में आ रहा है ना कि ये जितने लोग आंसर कर रहे हैं सिर्फ उन्हीं के समझ में आ रहा है? सब लोग बोलो, सबके समझ में आ रहा है?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yes, sir.
Great, super. So we are talking about, overloading of constructors and the constructor. अब ये देखो, see Python, beautiful language. Actually, I have fallen in love with Python. बहुत मजा आता है. If I have a choice ना, अभी आगे जो इतना भी अपना development है, if I have a choice, I will do it in Python. There are reasons why we still work on Java, because there are Java का support जो है ना, और उसकी libraries, हजारों libraries है. And when it comes to scalability, when it comes to platforms that are available out there for scalability purposes, then Java rules. बाद में इसके बारे में और बात करेंगे, अच्छा, ये बीच में मैंने वो भी बताया था ना. अच्छा, डिड आई एक्सप्लेन टू यू व्हाट आर द प्रोग्रेस पाथ इन आईटी फील्ड? डेवलपर, सीनियर डेवलपर, टेक लीड, एंड देन आर्किटेक्ट, सीनियर टेक लीड आर्किटेक्ट. बताया था ना मैंने आप लोगों को?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
राइट, राइट. सो आर्किटेक्ट तो आप बन ही नहीं सकते इफ यू से आई एम अ जावा प्रोग्रामर, आई एम अ पाइथन प्रोग्रामर. आप बन ही नहीं सकते, बिकॉज आपको आर्किटेक्ट करना है. आपको डिसाइड करना है यहाँ पे जावा फिट होता है, यहाँ पे पाइथन फिट होता है, यहाँ पे ये फिट होता है, वहां पे वो फिट होता है, यहाँ पे ये लाइब्रेरी, वहां पे वो लाइब्रेरी, यहाँ पे ये प्रोडक्ट. आपको डिसाइड करना है इसको यहाँ डिप्लॉय होना चाहिए, उसको हेरोको पे डिप्लॉय, उसको वर्सल पे डिप्लॉय, नहीं इसको EC2 पे डिप्लॉय. यू आर एन आर्किटेक्ट, यू आर सपोज टू डिसाइड. So if you do not know all of these things, then there is a problem, right? और वो आ जाता है एक्सपीरियंस के साथ, कोई बड़ी चीज नहीं है. डोंट टेक टेंशन. ऐसा नहीं हो रहा कब सीख लूंगा, कब सीख लूंगा, कैसे हो. इट हैपेंस ऑटोमेटिकली. ओके, चलो, तो ये हो गया. बट इंशाल्लाह द पाथ विल बी फास्टर व्हेन यू आर वर्किंग विथ मी. ओके,
Inshallah.
inshallah. I'm God knows best. It's my intention is not at all to blow my trumpet, but this is how it is, inshallah. May Allah make it easy for all of us, and may all of you benefit tremendously with all the training that we are doing. All right, so ये हो गया. अब पाइथन देखो, इतना ब्यूटीफुल है. सीधे से वी स्टिल हैव 10 minutes. ये देखो पाइथन देखो. अब यहाँ पे उसने मुझे बोला कि क्लास. So I'll go back here to Chrome, and here you are class. देखो इसने ये define किया है. So what I'll do is that I will create a new class, new Python file here, and Python, and I'll say models.py, क्योंकि इसके अंदर मैं multiple classes भी define कर सकता हूँ. In Java also I can define multiple classes here. So if I have customer class here, I can have another class also. But यहाँ पे थोड़े restrictions नहीं है. These are actually for the sake of I mean इसका अपना ही benefits है. I can define a class, but that class will not be a public class. So I can define a class here like this. Say I'll say customer transactions, something like that. Customer transactions. Okay. I can create a class, I can create multiple, but this cannot be public. मैं इसको public नहीं कर सकता. Impossible. Error दे रहा है. Compilation error. So these are all the classes that can be accessed only and only from. So if I create multiple classes here, fine. Only one class can be public. And the name of the .java file must be as same as the name of the public class. In the same .java file, I can write many other classes, but they will all be package classes. What do you mean? I can access these classes from where? Only and only from within this package. I will never be able to access this class from some other package. Well, coming back over here.
Customer package.
Sorry?
Sir, customer package.
No, ये model package ये रहा. Package ये तो package नहीं, ये तो class है ना, customer तो class है.
Okay, sir.
सो मॉडल पैकेज के अंदर कहीं पे भी मैं उसको किसी भी क्लास में आई कैन एक्सेस दिस, बट इन अनदर पैकेज आई कैन नॉट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल हियर इन मेन थ्रेड्स आई कैन नॉट से कस्टमर ट्रांजैक्शन. देखो उसको मिल ही नहीं रहा है, मिल ही नहीं रहा, वो ना इंपोर्ट कर रहा है ना कुछ, नहीं नहीं मिल रहा उसको. सी, बट इफ आई कॉपी पेस्ट द सेम थिंग इन कस्टमर एड्रेस कहीं पे भी, like somewhere over here in this function, you see this, I just have to, अच्छा ट्रांजैक्शंस है, हाँ ठीक है, सी आई कैन यूज इट कस्टमर ट्रांजैक्शंस, बट यहाँ पे सी आई कैन नॉट. दिस इज बिकॉज दिस इज इन अ डिफरेंट पैकेज. आई कैन नॉट. सी इज नॉट पब्लिक इन ट्रेनिंग्स मॉडल, कैन नॉट बी एक्सेस फ्रॉम आउटसाइड द पैकेज. देखा आपने?
Yes, sir.
Cool,
Yes,
good.
sir.
I cannot do this. Fine. Coming back over here, here I can. So मैंने एक models.py बनाया है. I can create multiple classes here. Oops. So I'll copy this, and here you are. So देखो मुझे समझ अब इतना beautiful है ये Python. This is how you do this is how you do overloading over here, right? So I will just go back to customer. This is how you do overloading here, whether of a constructor or anything, any other function. This is how you have to define two things, two functions, one without the parameter, the other with, one parameter. I can still overload it. I can say ID, comma, string name or first name, right? I can do this. Now there are three. So when I pass two parameters, what will be executed? This. When I pass one parameter, what will be executed? This. When I pass no parameter, what will be executed? This.
Yes.
Getting the point, friends? So I can say 102, comma, I can say customer is BNP Paribas. This is the customer. I'll say 4. See? So this is how I can use it. I can use it in different ways. This is just cool. But then I have to define how many functions? 3 functions here. As opposed to this in Java, in Python. Why is this giving an error? It's not public, yes. Okay, so, but in case of Python, itna beautiful hai ye. See this. I can create an object of class customer passing. ये self जो है ना, ये default है, ये हमको रखना ही रखना है. This self is like, it is like a reference to
Object.
the object. Yes, super. Very nice, super. वैसा बोलते रहो, बहुत अच्छा लगता है मुझे. This self is a reference to the object of the class that you will be creating. And when you say self dot underscore name is equal to name, self dot underscore email, ये सब private variables हो जाते हैं. The moment you say underscore, वो automatically समझता है private.
Yes, sir.
और ये name आप जो भी value pass किया, that will be assigned over here. So let's go to hello.py, and then here, how do I create an object of that? I'll say customer is equal to customer. ऐसे बनाऊंगा मैं? Yes.
Sir.
But
Yes,
I
sir.
need to pass parameter. What parameters am I supposed to pass? Tell me. Name, email, and age. So name होगा say say JPMC. और क्या था? Age तो नहीं होगा. Customer ठीक है, चलो. Shakir is the customer of the bank. और क्या है? Age 54, and then what is that? Email address है ना? No, email and then age. Sorry. So I'll say email is shakir@informover.io, and then age is 54. Here you go. Okay. So ये हो गया. अच्छा, तो न्यू करना पड़ेगा क्या?
नो सर, इंपोर्ट करना पड़ेगा, कस्टमर को इंपोर्ट करना पड़ेगा.
Import. Super. Thank you so much. ये रहा. Customer is equal to customer. See, we are all learning together. Customer is equal to customer. ये हो गया, बन गया. बढ़िया है. अब if I do not pass this as a parameter, suppose if I say customer 1, if I don't pass this as a parameter, then it will not allow, na, because there is no constructor available without. अच्छा, ले लिया उसने, ले लिया. कैसे ले लिया? डिंग 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 डिंग.
रन टाइम एरर देगा सर.
हाँ, रन टाइम एरर दे रहा है. Why? Because there is missing. साफ बता रहा है वो, it's missing. But ये कौन है, ये कौन आंसर्स कर रहा है? आई वांट टू नो द नेम ऑफ दैट पर्सन। रन टाइम एरर देगा, किसने बोला?
इफ्तिखार सर मैम।
इफ्तिखार, सुपर, वेरी नाइस, माशाल्लाह, वेरी नाइस। अच्छा, so now what I'm going to do is I'll go to models.py. I'll go to models.py. Why is this? What am I comparing here? See this. What am I comparing? See the way I write my constructor here and overloaded. यहाँ पे मैं क्या लिखूंगा पता है? I can very well go ahead and give the default values. I'll say equal to, I'll just, initialize it with something. Email is equal to, I will initialize it with something. And age is equal to, I will initialize it to something. Or else I can very well say email, and here I'll say name. What does this mean? I must pass name and email, and age I can leave it. If I leave age, so 8 minutes, sorry. Say default is 25. So if I do not pass age as a parameter, what will be the default value of age?
25.
25.
25. So do I have to have multiple functions created or only one INIT? One INIT, and I can get the things overloaded. Getting the point, friends? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yes
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So this is the beauty here. This is the beauty here in Python. So it's really a sophisticated language, and with the Python में आपका verbosity कम होगा, मतलब the kind of I mean the amount of code that you write will definitely be lesser. Okay, but see, we are again time and again I will keep saying this, we are engineers. यहाँ से जो प्रोजेक्ट होगा प्रोजेक्ट में पैसा मिल रहा है तो हम जावा में तो जावा में लिखेंगे, कोबॉल में होगा तो कोबॉल में लिखेंगे, right? Okay, so what they have done is, see, @property define a name cell. So name, so I will be able to get, see what it is returning back, self dot private variable का value return कर रहा है, I'll get the value of name. Okay, define, this is the setter. See, what are these known as? These are known as annotations. What are these? These are what?
Annotations.
Annotations.
These are also known as, in some of the, I don't know Python में इसको क्या बोलते हैं, these are also known as decorators.
Decorator.
Yes, sir. Decorate.
Decorator बोलते हैं Python में?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great, super. So this is the decorator. What do you mean by decorator? मेरे पास ये पहला बार ये जो word आया था, I kept wondering, decorator, what decorator is actually nothing but an annotation. Decorator tells something, it decorates. Additional information provide करता है to the runtime environment. It decorates that function with the additional meaning to it. And in fact, a decorator is a design pattern, and that's how they use it. See this decorator gang of 4 design pattern, and best place to learn is where? sourcemaking.com. ये देखो आपको मिल जाएगा. See decorator design pattern. So you already have something, and dynamically you are adding more meaning to it, and you're adding additional functionality to it. That's what a decorator is. So ये setter हो गया property, then @name.setter. और ये रहा property email and then setter. This is how you do it over here. खलास. So very simple. यहाँ पे naming conventions अलग है. If it was Java, I would have written it as total purchases as T lowercase but T uppercase. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Add purchases will be add.
Yes, sir.
And purchase ka P will be uppercase, but over here it's underscore. Here you do not use camel's case. This is known as camel's case. In Java, this is known as what? Camel's case. This is, see the name of the class also over here, customer address, it's camel's case. But if I were to write the same thing in Python, I would have written it as all lowercase customer underscore address. Yes, friends?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Great. अच्छा, ओवरलोडिंग हम लोग कल, ओवरलोडिंग दिस इज नॉट, अभी ये तो क्या है ना, ये जो है ओवरलोडिंग, एंड हियर यू डू ओवरलोडिंग विद द हेल्प ऑफ डिफॉल्ट वैल्यूज. दिस इज कूल, दिस इज गुड, दिस इज सो फार सो गुड, बट this is kitabi knowledge, this is bookish knowledge of overloading. So when I ask, people also, I've seen people with 4 years, 5 years of experience, they have still bookish knowledge. They'll say, okay, if I ask them what is overloading, they'll say, when you write 2 functions with different parameters, it's overloading. 2 functions with the same name, but different parameters is overloading. No, that's not the definition. That's just half the story. That's how you implement overloading. But overloading has got meaning. जो लॉजिक लिखते हैं आप कहाँ लिखोगे? आप यहाँ लिखोगे, यहाँ लिखोगे कि यहाँ लिखोगे, कि तीनों जगह लिखोगे? So we need to discuss that. So you know how to actually design your code and make use of the concept of overloading. ठीक है, we will discuss that tomorrow. We will discuss abstraction. We will discuss interfaces in Java. We will see whether there is any equivalence of interfaces in Python and so on. Right? If it
Sir,
was जी बोलो 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 हाँ question type come on.
सर ये जो कैन वी से दिस कस्टमर्स ये टाइप ऑफ पॉलीमॉर्फिज्म?
I'll explain polymorphism with the help of abstraction and with inheritance and stuff and all. But yes, you can very well call it polymorphism because when you invoke a service, the service still remains the same. This is the same service that you're invoking. अब यहाँ पे constructor है तो उसको मैं service नहीं बोलूँगा, but then it will behave, especially when it comes to functions, it will behave differently based on the parameters that you're passing to it. Or polymorphism is actually not dependent on the number of parameters also. So overloading is one of the ways, but otherwise there is a different meaning to polymorphism. Thanks for asking that. Do remind me to explain this to you tomorrow. I'll explain this to you all tomorrow. Very
Okay,
nice.
sir.
Good question. And polymorphism and factory कोई किसने पूछा ये आप लिख लो कल सुबह में आपको मुझको याद दिलाना है when we connected 10 o'clock कि हमको polymorphism and factory design pattern discuss करना है आप लिख लो
ओके
so that you remind me. ठीक है हम लोग start ही इसी से करेंगे overloading and abstraction and then overriding and then polymorphism and stuff and all and factory design pattern we will discuss all of these tomorrow. ठीक है right? So now can I also say one final point? Can I say that in models.py, I have created my own data structure called customer? Can I say that or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, and we can very well create objects of that data structure and we can put values to it and so on, right? So when I say Shakir here and when I say Shakir at mslc.in, so now by default, the value of customer one dot age will be 25.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So that's what it is. So well, I think we have discussed quite a few good things, and I do want you all now to go back to your projects, get connected with Atik and Oways. See, it's going to take a bit of a time, maybe this week, maybe some few days in the next week also. अभी गाड़ी कौन से गियर में आप बताइए अपनी सबकी गाड़ी कौन से गियर में है फर्स्ट में
फर्स्ट
फिर सेकेंड थर्ड फोर्थ में जाए तक के स्मूथ हो जाएगा एकदम सो एक हफ्ता भर में लाइक वीक और सो 4-5 days 6-7 वर्किंग डेज में यू विल फाइंड योर सेल्फ लाइक वी आर वेल अलाइंड वेल सेट जब तक कि थोड़ा chaos लगेगा आपको इट्स ओके इवन अतीक एट ओवेस this is the very first time we are all together leading big teams people with so many members in our project frankly speaking we are also learning. Okay, so initially chaos hoga, but we have the ability to learn fast, learn quickly and do course correction if at all needed. And then we will proceed further. We don't see any challenge here at all. Within 5 or 6 working days, inshallah. So today is what? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Monday, Tuesday. So by mid of next week, we will all get settled down in our respective projects. All will know what is it that you all will be doing. वैसे source code pull किया आप लोगों ने देखा?
यस सर मैंने प्रोडक्टिविटी वाला देखा था उसमें एक
जावा देखा आपने कि फ्रंट एंड देखा आपने
जावा का बैकएंड
ओके सो कैसा मजा आया देखो कितना अच्छा स्ट्रक्चर है ना सब मॉड्यूल्स एंड विद इन द मॉड्यूल्स द क्लासेस एंड स्टफ एंड ऑल द पैकेजेस ऑल स्टैंडर्ड राइट
यस सर
है ना बहुत कुछ सीखोगे बहुत कुछ सो एक बात मुझे आप बताओ हेलो 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 फ्रेंड्स
यस
हाँ कुछ क्वेश्चन है पहले क्वेश्चन करो
एन्यूम करके कुछ देखा था मैंने उसमें
क्या देखा था आपने
एन्यूमरेटर्स
हाँ एन्यूमरेटर्स राइट एन्यूमरेटर्स इज जस्ट येट बहुत पुराना चीज है वी यूज इट अच्छा enums
यस सर
enums देखा था आपने हाँ ये तो नया चीज है नया क्या 1.5 से अभी पुराना ही है अभी 24 वर्जन चला जावा का 1.5 में इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ था बट enums इज अ वे टू have some predefined values which will never change for example एक पर्टिकुलर आप एक पर्टिकुलर ओके let's talk about the status let's talk about this राइट ये यहाँ पे ये स्टेटस है या तो मुझे ऑल चाहिए वर्किंग चाहिए नॉन वर्किंग चाहिए अब इसका चौथा कोई ऑप्शन ही नहीं है That's how it is. So where am I going to maintain the data structure? I mean, which kind of data structure will I use in order to maintain these values? Enums. So I'll say working, all comma, working, comma, not working. Sorry, these are the only values that we have. So बहुत जगह पे ऐसा होता है that you put some predefined values और वो data structure में और कोई चौथी value आ ही नहीं सकती. So then in that case, you define that as enums. We'll talk more about that later. Don't worry. Okay, so एक चीज है friends. Are we aiming to become just developers, programmers or elite top 10% बनना है हमारे को? अगर top 3% नहीं तो कम से कम I must have the confidence 1 month down the line saying that we are top 10% on hiretalent.com. यहाँ पे हम लोग लिख सकेंगे जैसा ये लोग top 3% लिखते हैं. Top tal in time to come. Do you think we will be able to they put top 3%? Do you think we will be able to put top 10% at least?
Yes, sir, inshallah.
Yes, okay.
Inshallah.
Yes, we must be able to do it. So it's not only about learning the programming language, it's a very simple thing, but then the art of writing excellent code. Excellent code. First class code. आप लोगों ने एक last point. I'm sure every one of y'all might have, some point of time or the other might have gone to, especially, boys can relate to this. You all might have gone to the barber shop. Not might have, you all do go to barber shop for a haircut. और आप जो शॉप में जाते हो, जो सैलून में जाते हो हेयर कट में, वहां पे कोई एक बंदा होगा जिससे आप जी ओके हाँ ठीक है थैंक्स. सो वही कोई पर्टिकुलर बंदा है उससे आप बाल कटवाते हो.
Yes, sir.
अब आप जा रहे हो, आपने अभी नेक्स्ट टाइम गए, आपने देखा कि वो बंदा नहीं है वहां पे, आप वापस आ जाओ. या
Yes,
तो फिर
sir.
आप रोकोगे, और अगर वो बिजी है तो आप बोलोगे नहीं दूसरा बिजी नहीं मैं बैठूंगा रुकूंगा बट मैं उसी से बाल कटवाऊंगा. क्यों? ट्रस्ट. Two things here. Trust and your hairstyle is very important for you. Right? For me,
Yes, sir.
it doesn't exist at all. Right? But for you, hairstyle is very important. So आप बोलोगे नहीं मैं रुकूंगा, मैं कल आ जाऊंगा, बट अगर वो आज एब्सेंट है तो लेकिन मेरे को तो उससे ही बाल कर. Why? Two things. Trust उस पे है and it's very important for you. Your hair style is very critical and important for you. Same thing here in software. Software is a very critical thing for any business. They run their business using your software that you will build for them. And if the trust is built, they will go nowhere, but they'll come to you. They will only go to people who are trustworthy, those who develop software that is resilient to changes, those that can be enhanced, things that can be reused, software that doesn't break on making changes, right? Enhancements can be done to that. The quality of code is excellent. You can scale that software up. Performance is excellent. The quality of code is so very fantastic that it performs really very well, and it is so very critical for them. If these are the kind of things you're offering, they will definitely come to you only. They will go nowhere else, right? So that's what we are supposed to groom ourselves into. Thank you so much. Any questions? I'm done from my side.
No, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. See you all tomorrow, same time.
Yes, sir.